back. So what we're looking at today is lesson 3. So we are in our unit 3 workbooks now. So unit 3 workbook, lesson 3, measuring with different sized units. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So what we're looking at here is measurement stations. So obviously we can't actually have these stations to go around and do these with. So for some of these, I'm just going to be giving you the values for this. Others, there's the applets, so we can take it and work with them off there. But for this first station, we have the larger cubes are 1 cubic inch each. Count how many cubic inches it takes to completely pack the box full without gaps. Empty the box. The small cube is 1 cubic centimeter. Each rod is composed of 10 cubic centimeters. Count how many cubic centimeters it takes to completely pack the box full without gaps. So if we would have been able to do this, we would have found that it takes 16 cubic inches to fill this box. So the volume of the box is 16 cubic inches, whereas in cubic centimeters, it's 250. So seeing that there is a difference there, a difference between those. The multiplier here is about 16.8. So when we have inches to centimeters, our conversion is 2.54. So being as we're dealing with cubic, we'd have to take our 2.54 and take it to the third power, which is about 16.387. So that is what our multiplier is. So knowing these conversions, knowing how to go between them, and understanding that depending on the unit of measure, we're going to get what appears to be very different answers. Looking at just these, seeing 16 and 250 seems like it'd be a huge thing, but it's in terms of centimeters. So our unit is a smaller unit, so it takes more of them to cover or to fill the same amount of space as a larger unit, which would be our inches. All right, to the next station, station 2. Use the meter stick to measure the nearest meter length, the length your teacher has indicated. Use rulers to measure the nearest foot length, the length your teacher has indicated. So the one we're looking at here, and I actually use centimeters instead of meters. So another look at centimeters versus feet. And so I did the length of the desk was 74.67 centimeters. And then that in terms of feet would be 2.54, so about 2 and 5.5 inches in distance. So once again, centimeters is much smaller than feet, because up here we know that centimeters is smaller than inches and inches are smaller than feet. So we know centimeters have to be much smaller. So we're going to see that larger value there for our units. All right, station 3. Watch the video. How many times can a quart bottle be filled from a gallon jug? How many times can a liter bottle be filled from a gallon jug? So let's see if we can get this to work. Okay. So we've got our gallon, and we are filling So now we have 2 filled. There's the third one filled, and notice we perfectly fill a 4th one. So these bottles are our quart bottles. So it takes 1 gallon can fill 4 quarts. Now we're looking at the liters. So once again, there's 1 liter. There's 2 liters. There's 3 liters. And We don't quite make it to 4 liters, so we're just a little bit less. So which is larger, 1 quart or 1 liter? So we fill 4 quarts where we only fill 3 of the liters. So for this, oops, okay. So in our table, it'll be 4 quarts and a little less than, so I'm using the less than symbol for the liters. All right, our next one. So here we have the applet, and we're going to take and look at different objects. We're going to just pick 3 of them and do each of these objects with each of these different weights. So let's go ahead and do the cell phone, the pencil, and the potatoes. So just do those first 3. So if we look at the pencil, in terms of kilograms, it's 0.009 kilograms. So 0.009 kilograms, and this is the pencil. Now we need to look at it in terms of grams. So it's 9 grams. Next is pounds. So in terms of pounds, it's 0.0198. We'll go with 0.0198. And then we need to see ounces. So for ounces, it's 0.317. So 0.317. So there are ounces. So we can see grams, it's a very large value, whereas kilograms is very tiny. So is pounds, and ounces is also small. They're all less than 1, which if we think about it, a pencil isn't very big. All right, next we are looking at a cell phone. So a cell phone. So in terms of ounces, our cell phone is 5.46. So 5.46. Next is pounds, is 0.34. Next is grams, which is 155. And last is kilograms, which is 0.155. So you should be noticing a relationship between the grams and the kilograms. So kilograms, there's 1,000 kilograms in 1 gram. So kilograms is much larger than our grams. So you can see that relationship. And last but not least, we are looking at the potatoes. So the number of kilograms the potatoes are is 4.53, which means our grams is 4,536. Finishing out our grams, we have 4,536. For our pounds, we have 10 pounds. And for ounces, we have 160 ounces. So looking at this over here, we can see, I filled this all out so we can see this. All right, our station 5, count how many level teaspoons of salt fill the graduated cylinder to 20 millimeters, 40 milliliters, and 50 milliliters. Pour the salt back into the original container. So I gave you how many teaspoons it would take for 20. So for the small amount of salt, 20 milliliters is 4 teaspoons. So if we have 40 milliliters, how many teaspoons would we have? 8. And if we have 50 milliliters, how many teaspoons should we have? 10. So there is that relationship there. All right, so for number 1, which is larger, a cubic inch or a cubic centimeter? So we talked about this. Inches are larger, so cubic inch is larger. For B, did more cubic inches or cubic centimeters fit in the cardboard box? Why? That was our cubic centimeters. Remember, we had 250, and it's because they're smaller. So the smaller the unit, the more can fill the same sized container. For 2, did it take more feet or more meters to measure the indicated length? Why? So we measured in terms of centimeters and feet, so changing this to centimeters, it took more centimeters because they are smaller than feet. Now, meters are actually larger than feet, so if we would have calculated it in terms of meters, it would have been feet that it took more of. For number 3, which is larger, a quart or a liter? So a liter is going to be bigger because the gallon filled fewer of them. So liter, gallon filled fewer. For number 4, if we list, so this was the one where we had the grams, the kilograms, the pounds, and the ounces. We want to list them in order from smallest to largest. So what was the smallest unit of measure on there? Which one had the largest value each time? So if we look back at this, the biggest value is going to be our smallest unit. So which one is that? It's our grams. So our grams is the smallest. Which one comes next? The ounces, then the pounds, then the kilograms. So it goes grams, ounce, pound, kilogram. So knowing what's a smaller unit and what's a larger unit is crucial. It's crucial. For number 5, about how many teaspoons of salt would it take to fill the graduated cylinder to 100 milliliters? So if it took 4 to get to 20, how much would it take to get to 100? And if it took 50, or if it took 10 teaspoons to get to 50 milliliters, it would take 100, or not 100, sorry, we're looking for 100. It'd take 20 teaspoons. If you poured 15 teaspoons of salt into an empty graduated cylinder, how many milliliters would it fill? So if we have 15, we know that 10 is 50. We know that 20 is 100, so it's going to be somewhere between there. And if we think about what this relationship actually is, 2 teaspoons represents 10 milliliters, so 1 teaspoon represents 5 milliliters. So for every 1 teaspoon, it's 5. So 15 times 5 equals 75 milliliters. How many milliliters per teaspoon are there? Well, we just said that. It is 5. And about how many teaspoons are there per milliliter? So it's the reciprocal of this. So it's 1/5 teaspoon per milliliter. So anytime we switch from one way to the other, it's just the reciprocal unit rate. So your keyword for this lesson is units. So we looked at a lot of different units, and it's very crucial to understand how the units affect what the answer is. The larger the unit, the smaller the amount. The smaller the unit, the bigger the amount. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Have a great